everyone. Hello,
Hey
ladies.
everybody.
Hey, what's up? What's up? We are on our first stream. I'm so
I
excited.
know, and we get to talk about WTF is happening in America, which is a lot.
What is happening? There's so much
Yeah.
going on right now. It's getting crazy, and there's just so much to get into.
Yeah, it's been a long few weeks, as we all know. Um, but yeah, no, how is everyone feeling? I feel like we should kind of be mindful and be present on just kind of, like it's been a long few weeks. We've had a lot of headlines come up, and so I just wanted to know because, like, in the immediacy after the Charlie Kirk incident, there were a couple of HBCU universities that got kind of bomb threats, and I wanted to know if like were any of them in Georgia?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
a lot in Georgia, specifically Spelman, Morehouse College, and Clark Atlanta, which sits in the Atlanta University Center. I know I even got a text from Braxton. I don't know if you want to go there, Braxton, but this isn't just something that happened in Georgia, but literally all over the country
Yeah.
with our institutions.
Yeah. And I mean, it hit home for me. I mean, my sister is an HBCU student. And so, getting those messages, getting those texts like we're on lockdown, it really did hit close to home. Um, and I mean, it sucks, right? Like it puts you in a very odd space because I just want to know, what did HBCU students do? Like, what did they do? Nothing.
But
So
it's so interesting because, like, on an Instagram tweet, someone asked that, like, on an Instagram post, someone asked that question, and they just brought up historically how, like, when moments like this happen, there's always terror that happens in Black communities as a response, despite the fact that Black communities had nothing to do with what took place. Um, so it really just saddened me. But beyond that, I think what had occurred and then like the aftermath made things worse politically in the country. I feel like for months already there was just like this clear divide within our country that I've never seen before, and I think what took place in Utah made things a lot worse. What was disheartening for me though is that I always try to look at the glass half empty. I mean, no, half full instead of half empty. I was just surprised that like Republican electeds did not try to like make a bridge or like we're Americans, we need to be in this now more than ever. I just kind of felt like there were dog whistles and like stoking of flames. And that's not what we need right now in this country at all.
And
no.
when the president was asked about whether or not he's interested in fixing it on Fox News, he said he wasn't. And like the backlash that's been kind of happening, in response, there was already a legislator that was trying to get U.S. citizens' passports revoked, and in response to all this, and then like 3 hours after the incident that happened to Charlie Kirk, Lauren Boebert was the one that introduced the bill that got passed on anyone that was speaking about boycott, divestment, sanctions for Israel, and so like the symptoms that already kind of created a Charlie Kirk are going to be there,
Yeah,
right?
and what we're seeing now, Chris, is even people at risk of losing their jobs, right, for freedom of speech, right? So I think it's just a very interesting playing field, right? I mean, I think we all can agree that what happened to Charlie Kirk was terrible, right? And nobody wants to see anybody be harmed in that way, and that's one of the things we're fighting for, right? Is gun violence reform. That shouldn't be something that's taking place in America, and so I don't know. It's tough to see. Kind of like this weird divide where, you know, I think there's a lot of crazy things that we know that have been said, that have been very harmful to communities, especially I would say for me, speaking for myself as a Black woman, there are a lot of things said about our community that, it's really hard. We can't get behind it, right? Um, but I think the expectation for there to be just this big mourning from our community when we've been harmed in such a large way, but then when there's no response from our community, then for that to be turned on our community, um, and for more harm to be invoked on us, like you said, going straight to HBCUs. We haven't said anything. We haven't done anything. We're just choosing not to really have anything to say because what is there to say? What is there to say? So I don't know. It's really tough, and I think the response that we're seeing, not even just in this community, but in communities, marginalized communities in general, as a result of what happened, is division. It's not putting anything forward, and I think yeah, there is an opportunity for there to be a bridge, but that opportunity seems to be being skipped over by so many.
And it's not something that's just happening here. Like, this is something that has trickled internationally and globally. And I don't know if I was talking to Braxton or who it was, but after what happened in Utah, I literally spoke to someone and I was like, literally, when moments like this happen in this country or in the world, right? Like, there is always movement. And we have begun seeing movement. Um, and, this past weekend, Britain had like 100 to 200,000 people also organizing and advocating. And I'm not sure if you all saw that Elon Musk made some statements that literally were also stoking, some very, very dangerous flames. And so this is something that we're not only just seeing happening here within our country, but this is something that's like trickling and happening literally across the world. And it's not something, where, you know, this is bringing people together, right? Like, when
Mhm.
moments like this happen, when individuals are killed, it's like, how do we bring people together, right? Like, how do we stop creating this division? How do we bring people together to move forward? And that has not happened. And, like the president said, I don't see it happening anytime soon. Um, but yeah, yeah. Christian,
Yeah.
how do you feel?
Well, it just like the distinction between the way we reacted to we react to violence. So, as an organization, everyone. So, like back in 2023, we were at UNLV during the December 6th shooting, that happened, and like immediately after, we weren't calling for war. We weren't calling for, violence to be, to be met with whoever, whatever ideology the person had, whatever his reasoning were, right? We were looking for solutions. That's something that I notice on just our side, and like, I respect Mary Pat's leadership and having, giving me the creative and professional freedom to help be that unifying figure, right? The week after we had that incident, I called for a multilateral solution to figure out the root of the problem rather than just blame, right? And what that looks like is trying to figure out why a person who would want to come onto campus and kill three faculty members, right? Then we find out he had an eviction notice, right? Prior to him even going there. Then, we find out that he was going through the interview process for a job and then got rejected, right? And we're thinking about the mental health factor of all of this, right? And so I use this as a distinction to say we have our platform is always going to be trying to figure out solutions, and we're figuring out how to be more unifying and getting to the root of issues. And like, you would think that with the brevity of the situation that happened last week, people would want to be looking for answers too, right? But instead, nobody waited. Within the first 2 or 3 days, nobody even knew who the guy who shot Charlie Kirk, right? And like you see, like you said, Elon Musk was one of the people among many that were already just calling for war. And so you just see the two
And you don't
distinctions.
even know this person's background. You don't know what they believe. I don't. Is the term goiter? Is that the term? Is
It's
it a
it's
goiter?
Groiper, and so this is something,
Right.
yeah.
Like, people are like, is it a groiper? People are like, not a goiter. Okay. People are like, is it a groiper? People are like, are they leftists? People are like, well, no, he comes from a, like, everyone's throwing out these things and like this false and mis and disinformation, which is just making things
Right.
worse.
Which is
Which was
a
like
joke.
dangerous
Yeah,
and crazy.
Yeah.
extremely dangerous.
But I do want to see, Christian, if we can kind of take things a little to kind of, lighter level. I'm not sure. Like, congratulations are in order for Cardi B.
Yes,
Do you hear she is having her fourth
she is.
baby with boyfriend Stefan Diggs? Congratulations, Cardi. We this is a girl who moves on quickly.
Listen, okay.
A girl who moves on quickly, and she's on it. Also, I see that Chloe Bailey posted a picture on Instagram, and she used a song with both of her ex boyfriends in it,
Crazy. Diabolical.
Gunna and Burna Boy, because they have a song together. So
And I love that for her.
I wish, yeah, I wish it to be as just
Yeah.
carefree as Chloe Bailey. But my last question to y'all, this is a question I have to pose to you. And I accidentally, when I did my podcast with Braxton, I asked her a question about like relationships, and she was like, "Oh God, Mary, why would you ask me that question?" But a athlete he's a boxer. He broke up with a girl. He spent like $350,000 on bags, shoes, clothes. He is taking sis to court for his money back. My question to you and all of those watching this stream: do you feel like once you break up with somebody, like you need that back?
No.
Like, is it ever that serious?
Okay,
Like, do you want your money, your gifts, and everything back?
me personally, I think that's crazy. I feel like a gift is a gift, and when you make the action of giving somebody something, it should come out of the kindness of your heart, and it should never come with the expectation of it being reciprocated back. I feel like people that break up with people and then want stuff back, they're really just trying to stay around a little bit longer, just to kind of keep the plot going, keep the plot interesting. It's like, boy, if you're done, go on and go, go on and go. Why you need all this stuff back?
Yeah, you always want a clean break, right? So I don't think I would ask the same, to retain or to
Like, you
get
can
things
come and
back.
get your stuff. What does that mean? Come and get it and do what?
I don't know, because I just kind of feel like me. It depends on how the breakup went. Because like if it's me, Mary's always gonna get her get back. There's never gonna be a time, like, never think in your mind, whether it's a breakup, a friend, anything. Never feel like once that relationship is severed, it's safe.
It's dangerous out here.
It's never safe with me. Like, I feel like, well, depending on how the breakup went, because we don't know. But like for me, if you do Mary wrong, Mary's gonna get her get back. So I don't know if it's like
Queen
court.
of the get back.
I don't know if it's court. Maybe public. Maybe court of public opinion, right? But like Mary's gonna get her get
Yeah.
back.
Queen of the get back.
Mary's gonna get her get back. So I mean, I don't know. Like the gifts thing is kind of like, I think maybe he could have gone like after her sister or something.
Yeah. I don't know.
Everything you own in the box to the left.
Yeah, sing it, Chris.
Everyone in the chat is like, wait, Mary, what's
Period.
happening?
So
Everybody in the chat, someone said sounds like a Sagittarius. I actually am a Sagittarius, so that's
yeah, and
crazy.
I'm a Scorpio. So I'll just be watching. I'll be watching and observing.
It's never safe with me. So yeah.
So, y'all, one thing I did want to make sure that we brought up on today's stream was yesterday was National Voter Registration Day. And I know it's not a big like election year for as far as like presidential, but there's always an election going on. So, maybe let's just talk about that a little bit. Like, are y'all registered to vote? Are the people registered to vote? Getting
Yes.
Uh, Yeah, I'm definitely registered to vote. And yesterday was really, really fun for me because I had the opportunity to go to a high school and support some high schoolers and registering people on their campus to
yes.
vote. It's very, very significant in Georgia because right now we're witnessing the largest voter purge ever in U.S. history happen right here in the state of Georgia, where nearly 500,000 people are being removed from the voter rolls. So we're definitely trying to get as many people registered to vote. We know that October is the deadline, I believe, to participate in the November election this upcoming November. But beyond that, we're still trying to get as many people registered to vote as possible so that they can exercise their political agency in every single election, not just next year's midterms.
Yeah, field registrar trainings have been happening here in Nevada. And this weekend I'm going to be teaming up with the League of Women Voters here to go and do some voter registration over at the Relay for Life, cancer walk. And so, like, yeah, it's definitely been on top of mind. And I'm not just because we're already engaged in that kind of electoral work, but it's something that just the community has still been pushing. No matter what happens, you're still preparing for an election next year. We're still preparing for local elections. And so, just being able to start those conversations early, and especially recently, we've been looking at the skippers, people who may have voted in 2020 but have skipped this recent election in 2024. So, that's been a valuable, that's looking like for young people, 18 to 35, that's looking like 40,000 voters here in Clark County. So we just want to initiate those conversations and start, focusing local for sure.
Yeah. So, guys, something crazy happened recently. Did you guys know in a lot of states you now need a prescription to get a COVID vaccine?
Wait, what? Why do you need a prescription to get a
I'm ready to
COVID
tell my
vaccination? If
story.
you want, like, if you voluntarily want to get a vaccination, why do you need a
I
prescription to
am
get a
ready to tell
vaccination?
my story. Okay. So I found this out. So one of my friends actually shared that up in DC, that they were going to need a prescription to get their thing and just told us to check it out. And I always get my prescription, I mean, my prescription, my COVID vaccine right before homecoming because I'm going to be around a lot of people. And when I started to go on Walgreens website to get my um, vaccine appointment, they told me I had to get a prescription from my doctor. So now you need insurance in order to get the COVID vaccine in a lot of states. Not every state, but a lot of states that maybe lean a little bit more conservative or kind of in the middle. We're seeing that there's not a fight to make sure that people just have access to the vaccines like we normally have. So just wanted to throw that out there for everybody. If you're thinking about getting your vaccine, make sure that you check first. And for me, it was kind of a crazy situation. Like I signed up to get it, I got my prescription. I went to one pharmacy. When I got there, they actually let me know that they did not have my insurance. They didn't take my insurance. And that hadn't happened to me before. So I was like really frazzled. They had to shift my prescription to a different pharmacy and then I was able to get the shot, but then I was having to wait, and I just feel like most people are not gonna take all those steps to get that shot. They just gonna say,
They're not,
"Yeah,
Braxton, but the president has already told us,
mhm,
like, if you want to protect yourself from COVID, all you need is a cap full of bleach,
bye."
and everything will be okay.
Yeah, and
A cap full of
cap full of
bleach.
bleach will kill you, but okay, quicker than COVID.
Like, yes, that is the response
Okay,
to the American
yeah,
people
it's
when the world felt like it was in
yeah,
flames.
what the F is happening in America?
What the fuck is happening in America?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not at my computer to bleep my F out. Sorry,
Quickly.
Christian, for making your stream non PG
No
13.
worries. Free speech, right?
Free speech.
Absolutely.
Oh, I once thought we lived in a country where free speech was like a thing. And it's so interesting how the party that's always supported freedom of speech is now saying you don't have freedom of speech.
It is
And I
crazy.
thought I was like, I thought I was living in an alternate universe when Candace Owens became the champion of freedom of speech against her own party.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
crazy.
But this is where we
It
are.
is where we are. I mean, we started to see that a little bit even last year when we were doing all the organizing on campuses and we're starting to see students not even have freedom of speech. So it's crazy to see how the trickle down effect has happened even in these short few months since November, since the election. We're starting to see so much happen when it comes to freedom of speech and people not necessarily having the freedom to talk about the things they want to talk about and the consequences of that. So
Yeah, and internationally, like I think I was talking to the both of you about this, but in Nepal, the government was replaced via vote by not Zoom, but by Discord. And so the reason being is that they had a government that wanted to or not wanted to, they banned social media. And so Gen Zers organized to make sure that and like they took over the parliament, they burnt down buildings, and in response to just this issue, among other reasons, right? But like that goes to show you that the crackdown, whenever it comes to social media, when it comes to cracking down on, like, tone policing on people, that this is kind of that's been the response. And I don't know, like, I can you imagine that happening here? It just
If the people could vote via Discord, The people can't even vote early in some places, let alone crippled people being able to vote by mail or
It's
anything.
crazy.
Like it's vote by Discord. I don't think we're there yet. Like crazy. But like, so you talk about Nepal, but I was talking to my mom literally earlier this week, as well as a friend of mine, and I was telling them like, oh my God, Nepal, Japan, France, like these governments are toppling. And they're like, wait, what? Like France, Japan, like what is happening? No one knows. Like a lot of people do not know. I think we've been like so much in our own like bubble
Yeah.
that people don't even know like the movement happening in Nepal, what's taking place in Japan, the fact that France is on fire. Like people do not know that. And I think what's really shocking to people is France specifically because France has always been like up here. You know what I mean? Like since the transatlantic slave trade, like France has had power, and since Africa has kicked them out of the continent, um, they have basically gone bankrupt. They have no more money. They have no more resources. They can no longer exploit people at the margins to power the Eiffel Tower and other
Wow.
things. But like the crazy thing is, people here do not know. And I think like if you would have told people in France 2 months ago that their government would pretty much be toppling, they wouldn't believe you. And it goes to just show you how one decision, one thing, or 2 months can impact everything. And I'm like the person that calls people at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, panicking because of what I'm seeing on TikTok. So this doesn't help. But it's just very, very interesting that a lot of people in America do not know what in the world is going on in Nepal, what's happening in Japan, or what has been happening in France.
Yeah, and I one more thing. I Not to take it back down to such a sad note, but I think I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the fact that a black man was lynched at Delta State University in Mississippi. And what we're seeing is that um, officials are saying that there's no evidence of foul play. Obviously, classes have been canceled. There's been rumors of broken bones and physical trauma. And I don't know, y'all. I don't know, but what I have to say about that is black people don't lynch themselves. We don't do that. Um, it's it's sad. It's very sad. Um, so thoughts? Any thoughts on the topic?
And just for me, my grandfather was born in Enid, Mississippi. He literally left Enid when he was a teenager and never went back. And things that he often talked about was the fact, I mean, he grew up in the 30s. Like the fact that he actually saw things like that.
Yeah,
And so, seeing that on the news for him was very, very like, it
traumatizing.
was traumatizing. But these things have happened across the South. I mean, in Georgia, um, there was a young man in Valdosta who was also killed. No
Rolled
one
up.
ever found out
Yeah,
what happened to the young man in high school in Valdosta who was killed. But yeah, like black people do not lynch themselves. There are just certain things that black people do not do, um, and it's just sad that it looks that this act happening in such a very political tense time is contributing to this family not being able to get the justice that they deserve.
yeah, and I think it's going to get back to one of those things. There's so much distrust um, in many communities, but specifically the Black community around whether investigations of Black deaths are actually going to be handled fairly and transparently. So obviously, we're waiting to see what officials are going to say. But when we're hearing from family members, what we're hearing from students, other Black students on the campuses, is that there's been some crazy stuff going on. This is not the first incident of racism um, and violence on this campus, and especially in places in the deep south, we still find a lot of those kind of remnants of um, what happened. Like way back in the Jim Crow era. We're still seeing a lot of those tendencies, a lot of that imagery, and it's reality, honestly, for a lot of people. So mental health, we definitely want to encourage for those that have been watching, um, and just really prioritizing black safety. But we're gonna have to hold that institution accountable, the people accountable. And I really am looking forward to seeing what comes of this, what we're gonna hear back, because I think over the years we've seen so many big stories of black people being harmed at the hands of other individuals and it not being taken seriously. So that breaks my heart, and I'm really just I'm hoping that justice will be served as much that can be, but we do need some answers. We definitely need some answers.
This just reminds me of like when things like this happen, the fact that like we need to see leadership say something about it.
Yeah,
And you know, when you become a leader in a country as diverse as America, like you represent all people. And so it is very disheartening to see that no one has said anything. I will say that President Obama has been calling out the way the current administration is handling political tension in this country.
right.
But my question for you all is, do you feel like previous presidents have that right? Like historically, previous presidents have remained quiet. You don't hear much from the Bushes. You don't really hear much from the Clintons. But President Obama is like, you know what? No, like I'm going to say something. I'm interested in knowing, like, do you feel like it's his place to do that during a time like this?
I think it's all our place, and like like it. Somebody's got to show leadership, as you were saying, And I just did a video today, kind of like summating, whenever weaponized prejudice like becomes such a visceral tactic to try to stir up the rubes in our country, like there was this video that I was talking about with you folks called "Don't Be a Sucker," basically showing how whenever people start targeting groups, whenever people start talking just very flippantly about any group, and all of a sudden it's one group, and then there's going to be coordinated attacks on every group until there's no groups left to talk, right? And so that uprising of vitriol being kind of like injected by the current administration needs to be met with somebody like Obama, somebody like and nearly anyone. Like we see a lot of people kind of gearing up already for 2028, and whoever has the best messaging strategy to really bring us together and get us out of this tumultuous time is going to be the one that we all build trust with, right? And so, I think to wrap it up there, we're doing I think the work that we're doing is still paramount to what we're trying to see, being the change that we want to see in the country, being the change that we want to see in the world. And so, yeah, I totally agree with you. It's everybody's right to step up and speak up.
Well, thank you so much for organizing this stream, Christian. Thank you all for those that tuned in. This is something that we actually want to make a consistent thing. And so if you don't see us all together, you will see one of our faces. Just kind of checking in with you on what's happening right now in America. I think I want to stick with the WTF is happening in America. I like that, Christian.
Yeah, yeah.
All
This
right.
this was fun.
See, I'm
Yeah,
messing with it. I like it.
yeah.
See y'all tomorrow.
Yeah,
See
stay
y'all
tuned for
soon.
part two.
Bye, gang.